Welcome to the Audacity to Age, where becoming never gets old. I'm Kristie Crenshaw, and this is a place for women who believe life's most meaningful chapters aren't behind them, they're being written right now. Together, we'll explore the stories, lessons learned, reinventions, and unexpected joys that come with life after 50. Together, we'll challenge old thinking, embrace new possibilities, and discover what it means to age with purpose, curiosity, originality, and verve. So grab your coffee, lace up your walking shoes, or settle into your favorite chair. This is the Audacity to Age. Get ready for a conversation with Julie Ciardi that will knock your socks off. We discuss not waiting for permission, finding opportunity gaps to fill your genius, bold moves and downsizing, the fire of her 40s, rocking her silver hair, listening to your inner voice, in her book, 50 Not Finished. Lean in and listen up. Welcome in, Julie Ciardi. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us, who is Julie Ciardi?
Well, thank you so much. This is so fun to be here. And thank you for having a podcast like this, because I will say real quick that 8 years ago, it was podcasts that helped me make the bold move to leave my career to start my own business. Because when I saw what was possible with others, that's what helped me. So I love that you're having this podcast for people. It's so, so important. So I'm Julie Ciardi. I'm a former IBM vice president. I was in marketing for 20 years and started my own business 8 years ago. I'm the author of 50 Not Finished, and I host a global community and coaching mentorship program for women near or over 50 who are really ready to do their legacy work. And we bring in human design to help them do that and find their voice. So it's so much fun. I love what I get to do. I actually pinch myself that this is my life.
That's so fascinating, and I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that later. I did do your test that you give to find out what mine was, so we can maybe chat a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And we can drop the link too for your listeners as well to run theirs and all
Absolutely.
funness. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I want to make sure they get that because it really is fascinating. Part of my exploration in the Audacity to Age life post 50 is doing a little check in the rearview mirror and seeing what's worth bringing into this next build for me. And so I like to take a little stroll through the decades and see, cherry pick what's the lesson learned, what's the big epiphany, the aha that is gold that I'm going to take. And so I would like to do that with you if we could. And
Love it.
let's start in the 20s and
And
see
can I just
what.
say, I love that you do that, because I think that the
Yes,
word
you may say that you love
reinvention,
that I do things.
right? I love it. I just love what you're doing, because like, I think what happens is a lot, it's like we've got to pivot and reinvent. And I think
Right.
people get amnesia. Like
We're not starting from scratch here.
no,
Like there's stuff there that's worth building upon.
I call it the
So,
thread that pulls
yeah.
all the way through. And it's like, I always feel like we have to remind women, because we get amnesia. We actually all get amnesia about
Mhm.
what like we've done and experienced and the lessons that
Mhm.
we've learned and all of the things. And so I love this. So I'm all for it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So let's talk about your 20s then. So what's the thing for you there that you would love to impart on younger women that would be a great lesson to hold on to?
I love this one, because when I think back to my 20s, very early on, my father taught me a lesson. It's actually a chapter of my book about self-responsibility.
Mhm.
Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for someone to hand you something. Do not wait. You decide, you make a choice, and you go for it. And I can remember in my 20s, I was always an overachiever, but I was in my 20s and I had left college and I started a job. And of course, I was in a cubicle with no windows and dark and all the things. And believe it or not, my father actually gave me a framed copy of The Man in the Arena, which
Yes.
I have redone into The Woman in the Arena, and I have it hanging in my house from Theodore Roosevelt. And, he just kept, I came home one day and I said to him, I'm like, is this what life is? Like, I just go into the office Monday through Friday, sit in this cubicle doing administrative work. I was like
Right.
22. And he's like, no, you always have a choice. And I was like, what choice do I have? He's like, well, what you want next and where you see opportunity.
Mhm.
And I think my whole 20s the thing that I would pull out that was, trust me, there was a lot that like did not go well in my 20s, but the thing that I would pull through is not waiting to be asked, not waiting for permission, but to actually see where there's opportunity and believe that I can fill it.
Mhm.
So one of the big things that happened in my 20s that then gave me evidence was in that same job. It was in a healthcare company in Boston. They were into state receivership because they were going under. I mean, they were like in debt, like it was not good. And the CEO, they kicked him out. This one man came in to kind of turn the company around. He ended up becoming one of the governors of Boston not too long after that. And I could see where he was going. He was a great leader and he was a very strong communicator. And I said, okay, how can I be a part of this growth, and how can I be a part of this? Now everyone around me is complaining about the change, right? Everyone
Right.
around me is like, oh my God, and they're worried about their jobs and they're worried about change and like
You're like, bring it.
bring it. Like they were like acting like victims.
Mhm.
And again, this is this really important piece of going, well, how can I find the opportunity in this?
Mhm.
And I remember I would think I was making like, I don't know, 40,000, 38,000, something like that a year. And I could see where we were going. And I actually made a proposal. Little old me, I was like 23 at the time now. And I made a whole proposal and created a role that did not exist.
Love that.
It got accepted. And I doubled and then tripled my salary with literally in the period of about 12 months.
I love that. I love that because you did not wait for permission. You created something on your own and brought it up.
Yes.
And
And
that
I've
in
always done that
itself,
now.
right, that in and of itself is risking rejection. You're risking judgment. You're risking a lot of things there. They could have said you're dumb and you're fired, or what happened, which was wonderful. That's incredible. I love that. Keep going.
So I think that that gave me evidence that I needed to make my own way. And I think that one little thing holds people back because they want, it's almost like they're waiting to be discovered. Like
Mhm.
I think a lot of us do know that we've got these incredible talents and these gifts and these things, but we're kind of waiting for someone to see it and ask us. And I
Mhm.
think that that gave me evidence. I was early in my 20s. I continued on with that when I was getting married and actually moving out of Massachusetts to New York. I didn't have a job in New York yet, and I didn't have children yet. And so I said, okay, well, time to make my own plan again. And I actually came up with a proposal. There was a great consulting firm that was working with the company that I worked for. And I thought, what if the consulting company hires me? And I work on X, Y, and Z, and I will travel back Monday through Thursday. I'll still stay in the Boston area. I'll keep working for you guys, for maybe the next year until I
Right.
find something local in New York. They said yes. So I was able to like take care of myself, making a great salary, didn't have kids. I didn't mind going back to Boston. I made that work. And then in the latter part of my 20s, around 27, 28, that is actually when I got hired by IBM locally here in New York. And I will tell you that within 18 months of getting hired by IBM, I was pregnant with my first child. And I was on the list of what they called next gen executives for
Mhm.
IBM. And it was, I could see the disappointment of like, oh, you're pregnant. And and I had big dreams and goals there. Like I knew like I wanted to be an executive. I
Yeah.
knew where I wanted to go, all the things. And I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be okay. And oh, by the way, I'm going to take a 9-month maternity leave. And I did. And I
Yeah.
can remember because their IBM was pretty cool actually. Like they had this thing where you could take up to 3 years cumulative.
Mhm.
So however many pregnancies or people you were caring for, could be caring for an elderly parent, like whatever it was, you could take up to 3 years of unpaid leave and still have your job and all of those things. And so I was like, all right, well, I want to take 9 months of that 3 years having my first child. And I was told by I cannot even tell you how many people, Kristie, like, well, you know that this is totally going to have a major impact on you being able to become a manager and then an executive. Like if you take
Yeah.
9 months off, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be fine, but I'm taking
Right.
my 9 months off with my kid.
I think, right. And I think this is a perfect example of what you espouse today about the and. I've seen writings where you talk about and. It's not an or, it's an and. You can be a powerful executive, you can be very productive at work, and you can be a focused, intentional, present parent.
100%.
Yeah.
And so I ended up taking those 9 months, and that, interestingly enough, that brought me into then turning 30. So right after I had my daughter
hmm
is when I turned 30. And if you'd love, we can go through kind of like
Let's go ahead and dip our
30s.
toe in the 30s then.
Because
Sure.
I kicked off the 30s the way I kicked off my 20s, which is I ended up getting pregnant with my second child. Um, they were only 22 months apart. And with him, I decided actually to take off a year
hmm
and be home with them for a year. And I did that. And when I was coming back, I said, I want to come back part time, which again, my mentor was like, you realize you are putting the nail in the coffin of ever being able to move forward. And now I'm like, going to be 31 coming back, taking this time off. And now I'm going to be part time. I'm like, yep, okay, I know, I got it. When I came back and they had me come back in a part-time role, they said, we'll give it a try. There's one executive who, he would absolutely love to take you part-time. So let's see how this goes. Well, me part-time is like most people full-time. So
Right.
he
I
was
was going to
like,
say.
can I get like you
Yeah.
times 10?
You
And
operate at a higher level, and also technology had picked up a little bit at that point
a
to
hundred
where we could
percent,
all be a little more
a little
efficient and
more
effective.
productive, all the
Mhm.
things. It's just gotta be smart. You gotta work smarter, not harder,
Right.
right? People do
All
a
for
lot of
that.
things that don't even like move the needle in their career or whatever. So I ended up doing that. And what's so interesting is that when I was ready to come back full time, I was about, 32, I don't know, 31, 32, 30, probably 32 at this time. And I knew I wanted to become a manager and then I wanted to be an executive, but not sacrificing being a mom. And
Mhm.
everywhere I looked, especially in that company, there wasn't a lot of ands. There just
Mhm.
wasn't. I watched women who were in senior vice president roles, who their kids were in boarding school, right? And again, no judgment on boarding school, but like I didn't want that. For me, like, so everyone I looked at just didn't have the life I wanted to have with the career. And there was only one, well, they said there was one way to become an executive. And it's okay, what's that one way?
Yeah.
You would have to be what they called an executive assistant, which basically was like you could have already been a manager of a team of 300, but you needed to go and spend like 18 months side by side with a senior executive, traveling everywhere there with them, doing everything. And from there, you literally would launch into an executive role. They called it
So
the
hardly
EA.
conducive for family orientation.
Totally. So they
Right.
called it an EA. It's hard to get these EA positions.
hmm
Um, the executives were very picky because this is who they had to spend like every waking minute with, right?
Right.
So they wanted it to be like people they really wanted to work with. I had an offer and then I got another offer. So I had these offers and my mentor's like, all right, well, this is amazing. Like he was almost like so excited that his person was getting this offer, you know what I mean? And I'm
hmm
like, yeah, so I'm gonna have to be a no. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm a no on this because I'm not leaving my children for 18 months.
Mm.
He's like, it's 18 months. I'm like, nope. Said no to that one. I said no to the next one. And again, was pretty much told there's no way you're becoming an executive. And just like in my early 20s, I found the opportunity gaps, right? I really believe that we each have these unique set of gifts and talents, and the more you can understand it, the more you can figure out where your gifts and genius can be that opportunity gap filler for either the company that you're in or in your own business or whatever it may be. And I could see another big opportunity. And I had an executive interview with someone, and I was able to get myself into an executive role without the normal pathway, with still taking 2 extremely long maternity leaves and having come back part-time. I think what was proven to myself in my 30s was like, you don't have to do it the way everyone says something has to be done.
Can we spend a second there? Because I really believe that we've been told this is what you do. You go to school, you get the degree, entry level, these are the steps you take. You get married, you have 2.4 children and a sheepdog and a white picket fence, and that's what it has to look like. What was it for you that made living outside that box a must and not a maybe?
As I've studied my human design very, very, very deep, what I know to be true, and I knew it all along without ever studying human design, but it was this confirmation, like deep confirmation, was that freedom
Mm.
is my highest value. It's not money. It's not things. It's not having certain, house. I mean, it is freedom, to the point where I would go live in a shack if I could just keep doing what I love and have the freedom to do what I love. Like, and I did. When we get to my 40s, you'll actually hear I pretty much did
Yeah.
that. I felt like a bird that couldn't be caged. That's just how I've always felt. And I've always resisted being told something has to be a certain way or one way. So I've always just had that in me, right? It's just always been there. I've always questioned things like even before my 20s, right?
Mhm.
My poor parents. But as I was saying, I always had so many
Same.
questions. But I think that it's determination too. Like, I wanted freedom and I was very determined. And paving my own pathway to the goal,
Mhm.
I guess I just always could see that there was an alternative way, right?
Right.
There wasn't this one way, and it didn't have to be this one way. And I wasn't afraid. I think I believed enough in myself that I didn't have to depend on the sure pathway,
Mhm.
because I'm like, no, I can do this, and I know I'm capable of this. It just might look different in how I do it.
Right. Well, you've set a beautiful example of that. And I'm very encouraged by you as someone watching you. I mean, I found you on Substack. I was
I
just
love, by
looking.
the way.
I found you and your reading. It was though you were inside my brain. And I was like, I want to talk to her. I want to know more about her. I want to be in this conversation because it seemed so prevalent to me and so encouraging, not negative. Everything has its ups and downs, but if we focus on all of the negative aspects of this chapter of life, that's just, I'm not willing to do that. That's
We're
just
going
not
under if we
something,
do, because
yeah, I'm,
I was just voice noting one of my best friends in the world. We've been friends since we were 17 years old. We met day one of college. Okay. She lives in LA and I'm in New York. And we voice note almost every day. Like, actually, it's really kind of cute. And we were talking this morning about how every day we don't quite know what physical weird
yeah,
symptom
right.
like we might be experiencing. Like, literally last night I got crazy vertigo. It passed quickly, but I was just sitting on the couch with my husband and my son, and I'm like watching, and I'm like, whoa, like it just felt terrible.
Wow.
Very, very just terrible feeling. And like just random weird things happen. I'm on HRT, but I'm not in menopause. I'm in perimenopause. So like
Mhm.
the fluctuations of hormones, even on HRT, are crazy because you're still producing your own. Like,
Right.
listen, we could all sit and be like, holy moly, this chapter is filled with a lot of like different, like physical stuff, mental stuff. Every time we look in the mirror, we're like, what just happened? Like, where did
Yes.
that
I've already
hollowing of my
decided.
eyes come from, like
Right.
from yesterday?
Yeah, it's a new surprise every day. I've already decided that should I have the fortune to have a Netflix special, it's going to be called So Many Chin Hairs because
Oh my God.
that that is like what in the world
I'm
is
always
this
like
about?
this. I'm
If you see
always,
some woman just doing the thinker
that's what we're
across the
doing.
room, that's what it is. Just
A
doing the
thousand
thinker.
percent. This is the moment where we have the opportunity to choose to actually be optimistic and excited about this chapter, or
Yeah.
let it take us out.
Right.
And that's a choice. It's a choice. It's more like, no, like it's the and, like we just talked about.
It
It's
is.
the and. It's like
Mhm.
I can have crazy symptoms like vertigo sitting on the couch watching TV with my family, and I can be so excited about this next chapter of growth and fulfillment and discovery at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Totally.
So 40s.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't even touch on the 40s yet, did we?
Well, we didn't
I
touch on the 40s yet, and
I got wrapped up. So
I jumped over an interesting thing in the early 30s. I actually
Mhm.
got divorced from my first two kids' dad. And that'll be a whole other book. We co-parented like it's just this incredible story. And it was set like everything else, I guess, in my life with intention, right? Like I knew that I wanted to be at my daughter's wedding with us being like best friends.
Amicable. Yeah.
Like I mean like best friends, like not even amicable. Like I had this vision, and it's the truth. Like we talk all the time. We're so close. Like my husband now loves him. He loves him. Like it's beautiful, but it was so intentional, and everyone wants to be like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky." It's like, well, I feel very blessed, but we
Right.
have worked so hard on this joint vision and plan for literally now like almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Like
That doesn't happen by
a
accident.
long time. It does not happen by accident. So that
Yeah.
was also going on in the mix. And so in my late 30s, I got remarried. My husband didn't have children of his own, even though he's like the most amazing stepfather. And so we actually needed to do IVF to actually have our third child. I ended up having my last child, my son. I was 39 when I had him and literally turned 40 when he was about 6 months old, right? So I had my big 40th party. It was a big 70s party with him sleeping upstairs and me running upstairs to breastfeed. So that was fun.
Talk about the and,
Oh, the
really.
end. Talk
Yeah.
about the end. But the 40s was fascinating because when I had him at 39, I also had the opportunity to go from being a director level at IBM to a vice president. And I I was like, this was my dream. By the way, this whole time I'm not even loving what I'm doing though. Okay. I mean, it was just the carrot of like the next thing.
Right.
But I never loved what I was doing at IBM, like any of it until this one position where I became a vice president at 39, and that was my most favorite job that I had at IBM. And it was actually, life was pretty good. And I had always thought I wanted to do my own thing and have my own business. At some point, I explored a bunch of ideas in my 30s, but I never went after any of them because the online space barely existed at that time.
Right. Right.
You'll laugh at this. I remember Entrepreneur Magazine literally was not what it is today, and we didn't have what we have today. I ordered in the mail a binder on how to be an entrepreneur from entrepreneur.com when entrepreneur.com was just like a static web page. And it was like this thick, came in the mail, a whole binder on how to be an entrepreneur, right? This was like, I must have been like 33, something like that. It was crazy. It was on the back burner. It was a someday thing, even in my 30s. But when I became an executive at IBM at like age 39, had my final child, making a ton of money with a lot of bonuses. Loved my boss, loved the people that worked for me in my division,
Mhm.
and life was pretty good. You know, I was like, all right, like I can wait on my own thing. And then, and I mostly worked from home too. So when my kids were little, I worked from home if I wasn't traveling. So I had this like perfect situation where I had the flexibility of being home, but I mean, I was working a lot, but I was still home. I
Right.
wasn't having a commute and all that. And then if I traveled, that was like the only time that I was really away from the kids. And so it was pretty awesome, you know? I mean, like, how do you like get upset with that? My husband was a police officer at the time, and it was great. It was working well. And then all of a sudden, new leadership came into the company and was like, what are these people working from home? And this is like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that have had changed their lives, had moved locations because of all this
Right.
flexibility. And they're like, everyone's coming back into an office. But this was God, universe, source going,
Yeah.
yeah, girl, you're not staying here. Like you're not staying here. And so I went from things being okay, making a lot of money, going on beautiful vacations with the family. We had this big, beautiful home in New York. Like, okay, things are good. Although we say that, but every Sunday night I was like pit in my stomach,
Right.
all the things. And they changed everything overnight. And I was going to have to start commuting into New York City, which would be about 2 hours each way every
Oh my
single day,
gosh.
Monday through Friday.
No, thank you.
Basically, not see my children anymore. And now I had a baby and I had like an elementary school and a middle schooler.
Right.
And I'm like, this is when they need me the most. And I had to make a really, really, really big decision of what I was going to do. And I started to look around, and everything I found was basically a third of what I was making at IBM, which was like, if I'm going to go do what I was doing at IBM for a third of the salary, I'm not doing that. I don't love it. I don't love what I'm doing. That's when I made the big, bold move in my around 42 that I was going to leave. That I was going to leave. I was going to do my own thing. And it was so scary. And my husband's like, listen, like, I'm with you, but, my salary is not going to keep us going, And I was on a plane flying to Dallas for IBM, and I was reading a book. It was called Find Your Extraordinary, or no, Hello Extraordinary. One of those. Find Your Extraordinary, Hello Extraordinary. I have it over there. It was written by the CEO of Stella and Dot, Jessica Heron. And she was so like me. She was an executive at Dell, computers. She had 2 young children, and she decided, I have to do my own thing. Like, I want to do my own thing. And I read her whole story in the 4-hour flight from New York to Dallas. I was taking all these notes. I had scribbled marks everywhere. And like something shifted on that plane where I made a decision. I was like,
Yeah.
if she can do this, I can do this. Like, I have to leave. And I came home and I told my husband, and he's like, all right, like, I'm not sure how it's going to work, but we'll figure it out. And I'm like the money person. I do all the money stuff and everything. And I just sat with an Excel spreadsheet, and I just kind of came to the conclusion, like, we're going to have to sell the house. And I came back to my husband. I'm like, so we're going to have to sell the house. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, but we won't take the kids out of their schools. Like, I'll have it be in this little radius. In 2017, we sold the house. We downsized. We were able to like reduce our expenses by like 60%, like 60
wow.
with that, because the house, we had a big house in a high tax area, all the things. We just made some shifts. And I left IBM and I started my own business. And for 2 years, didn't really make any money. It was really hard. And then things started to take off about 6 years ago. And the thing that, I mean, we could be here all day with the gold that's happened in my 40s, right? So it's like, you asking me these questions, like, I could go back to my, even my elementary school years, my high school years, and my 20s and 30s, and kind of give you that, like, oh, here's the main theme, right?
Right.
40s was like a massive transformation. I mean, the gold nuggets, the ahas, the who I've become. It's like light years of change and difference and learnings. It almost feels like an entire lifetime lived from 42 to 50. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredible, quite frankly. And I think if I had to come up with what that theme is, it kind of goes back to another book that actually also finally pushed me out the door as well. And that was The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware.
Right.
And I just was like, I've always been very aware that we're mortal and we're gonna die. And I was like, 85, God willing, and I'm sitting in a chair and I'm looking back at my life. I know I'm going to regret it so much if I don't pursue my own thing. Because see, at this time, see, when you don't know what you don't know, like you don't feel the fire. It's kind of like if like all of a sudden you have to go to the bathroom, the closer you get to like the bathroom, you have to go even more. Right? Like, that's kind of what happened. All of a sudden I started listening to podcasts. I was reading these books, I was listening to podcasts, and I was like, this woman's doing that? Wait, that woman's doing that? Wait, these things were possible? And then it just got the fire in me, like, to the next level. And now I'm like, oh no, now I have to. And so that book just made me go, you're going to regret this. If you stay safe, and I'm using air quotes, if you stay safe and you stay at IBM and you do these things, like, you're going to regret this so much when you look back. And it was that really pushed me to go all in, to do whatever I needed to do to make this dream a reality. And me now at 51, like, I want to go back and hug that version of me in my early 40s because like I wouldn't be enjoying this
Right.
if she didn't do that hard stuff.
I've been more of a late bloomer in my whole life, so I wasn't quite there yet, but it dawned on me, and I'm 54. My maternal grandmother lived to be 100 years and 19 days old.
Woo!
So I felt like, okay, I'm midlife if those genes are rolling through me. And do I want the second half to look like the first half? And the answer is no, no, I do not. I want some very different things. I want a lot of some of the things that I've earned and that I've chosen very selectively in the last 5, 10 years, 11 years. But this next chapter of post 50 life, man, it's the wild, wild west. And there's so much open for us. So when I was naming my podcast and my Substack, The Audacity to Age, when I looked at the definition of audacious, what really stuck out to me was intrepidly daring and marked by originality and verve. So I definitely think of Julie Ciardi when I hear those words. Tell me what that looks like for you, your big, audacious life post 50. What do you have in the hopper now, and what things are you anding your way to?
I love this question. I got full body chills as you were saying it, and I think that's actually how we pretty deeply quickly connected on Substack was that word. And I was like, "Ooh, I love the name of your publication. I love what you're doing here. I just got it." Kind of like mine with 50 not finished, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I've never felt more audacious than I do right now. I will tell you, even just rocking the silver hair everywhere we go, it feels so audacious. Okay. Like my kids, my family is just like, can we go anywhere where people are not talking to you about your hair? And I'm like, yeah.
No, no,
And
you
it's the
cannot.
funniest thing. And my little guy who's 11, he's 12, actually he's 12 now. He's like, Mommy, he's like, what is happening? He's used to it now, but like in the beginning, he's like, I don't understand. He goes, I go, honey, this wasn't considered an okay color for so long. I said, eventually, no one's going to say anything. And that's because a few of us decided we were going to rock this and make it a
Right.
color instead of something we were always trying to hide. And he's like, oh, like, okay. And I love it because I actually get a lot of young people. It's usually the young people that are
Mhm.
like, they're like, I was just checking into a hotel over last weekend and like one was a guy and one was a girl and they're young people and they're in their like 20s and they're like, look, he's just staring at me. And they're like, wow, like, so what color? Like they want to know how I colored it like this. I'm
Yes.
like, no, this is no color. Like this is actually my actual natural color. And they're like, what? And it's just the funniest. It's just so fun. So even just the hair being audacious, and I kind of planned for this. Like I was 47,
Mhm.
and 47 is when I was writing the book, and I was planning for 50, and I was planning for entering 50 in a big bold way.
Mhm.
Like I think my word of the year that year was bold, right?
Yeah.
And it was just in a big bold way, and the hair was one of the ways, and then for me, the book and the movement. You know, one of my mentor that I'm working with, I've worked with her for 6 years. We had an in-person meeting in early January, and she was like, "All right, you are an amazing business builder. You are business builder, Julie. Wonderful. You do a great job. Wild success. But you know how to do that. It's almost your comfort zone at this point." She said, "We need you to step into movement maker, Julie, now."
Mm.
And so I feel like these next 10 years, my 50s are all about this movement. It's being movement maker, Julie. So my human design tends to just love to do her work and do her work in her office with her clients and not like be out there in a too big a way because I just kind of like to be right in here and hermit and
Mhm.
do my thing. And that's not going to work for the movement. And
Mhm.
in human design, there's something called the Chiron cycle. It's your 50 cycle, and your 50 cycle goes all the way until death. And it's this concept, and you'll love this, that the first 50 years, you were kind of a seed of a rose that
Mhm.
eventually grew into a closed bloom. So
Right.
imagine turning 50, and over those 50 years, the plant sprouted and now there's this rosebud, but it's not open.
Right.
And then it's after 50 is when the rose actually begins to open. So this whole concept is where 50 not finished came from. Because I
Mhm.
was like, oh, we're just starting. Like, oh, we're like,
Right.
and it wasn't like human design had to tell me that. Like, that is how I felt. So it
Right.
became this like deep confirmation to me. I started to just have this bold concept of it's 50 not finished, it's 60 not stopping, it's 70 never settling, right? This is gonna be like a trilogy, right? We'll have to come up with one for 80s. But like, I just, I feel I've never felt more bold and audacious ever in my life. I don't care as much. I used to care. I used to be a people pleaser,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
big time people
absolutely.
pleaser. I don't care anymore. Like I care in a
Right.
different way. I care about people. I care about the
Right.
mission, knowing that some people are not going to love it and some people are going to say things about it or whatever. And it's like, but they're not my people.
Right. You care with depth, not
Yes,
surface.
exactly. And so I feel, I told you freedom is a huge value. There is something so free
Hmm.
about the 50s. Like it feels like you're just allowed, like it just feels like full permission,
Hmm.
self permission,
Right. Right.
And it feels really exciting.
Yes. I feel like in my 20s, I did a lot of tap dancing for approval. And now I genuinely do not care. I've got my maker and I've got my husband, and really everybody else is kind of meh.
But
I'm iffy on if I will put much weight on what someone else says or thinks, because you've got to be true to your core. And the value system, I think, is a great way of tying into that. Freedom is equally important to me. There's nothing worse than feeling like you are completely boxed in and you have no way out, no other option, no other choice. And when you know that you do have choice, it's in the deciding to do something different, to do something new, and letting go of the old vision of ourselves that is so exciting. So, talking about your human design, how can people find you? What's your one ask? What do you want anyone listening to do? What action to take in relation to connecting with you?
I mean, Substack all the way. I
Mhm.
mean, you and I met there.
Yeah.
I really believe, especially with who your audience is, I think that Substack is the platform for women near or over 50 to not just be seen and be heard and be visible, but I think from an energetic standpoint,
Mhm.
where to actually be to fill your soul up
It's different.
because it's different. And now that I've been on there so much,
Mhm.
if I open a different platform, which I mean, I have a big business to run and I still need to be
Right.
on some other platforms, but I'm really spending way less time on any of them. It's like a dark energy. It feels like this dark energy, and I
Yeah.
come onto Substack and it feels like this light energy. And the consumerism, and I mean,
Mhm.
if there is any targeted market more than Gen X women, women in their 50s, women in perimenopause, menopause, and all the things in between. I mean, to the fact where Alex Hormozy is running ads that says, if you have a company that is in the menopause or hormones space, I want to invest in you. Because he's an investor. He invests
Wow.
in companies, gets them to a certain growth, and he takes a percentage. It's the market to make lots of money in right now.
Mhm.
I feel it every time I open one of those apps. I feel so targeted. I don't feel filled up in
Right.
any capacity. So I'm just trying to blow the horns of like, come over to Substack.
Mhm.
We are there, right?
Mhm.
It's our people are there. You feel filled up after you spend a little time in there.
Mhm.
Maybe you're here because there's more you want to do audaciously in your own, next chapter. That's going to be the place. So, if the content resonates from this podcast, if you're interested in learning more about your human design, my Substack is the place to come to check that out.
And congratulations, by the way, because I believe you are number 10 rising star in culture on the platform. I just
And
checked that out this morning.
12 bestseller
12
as
bestsellers.
well. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, and here you are just chatting with me, so thanks.
Oh my gosh, please. I'm telling you, that platform removes all that junk of like, it's a coming together. It's a
I definitely,
matchmaker.
yeah, I definitely feel a little more nurtured and definitely a little more seen with what I'm reading on there. Of course, you're going to find things that don't resonate with you, but if
Of
you take
course.
just a little bit of time to put your preferences in your profile settings of things that you want to see, that you want to come across your purview, you're going to be really pleasantly surprised. So I was blown away.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm putting everything into that. That's really going to be my 100% front end of my entire business is Substack.
I love it. I can't wait to learn more from you to that end. So we'll put all of your details in the show notes, the website, the Substack, all of that, and how people can get in touch with you. If you were to give them one call to action, something to do, what would that be?
Well, if they're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming they are interested in intentionally creating the life that they desire to have for the next, however many decades we have left. Learn to listen to that inner voice. We have a knowing,
Mhm.
like we have a knowing, and then we let our mind get into the way, right? And so for me, I love to walk. I can't, like, meditating is not like, I just can't do it. I'm a moving meditator. So like I need to walk and then the downloads come, the walk and the connection comes. So whether it's walking, journaling, or meditating, I feel like one of those three things typically resonates with people. Make sure you're finding that time to just like get quiet, whether it's moving, writing, or meditating. You already know. You already have the clues. You already have the ideas. You just actually need to listen to yourself and listen. And you're listening to God too,
Yeah.
and source whatever you believe. I mean, like you're getting the downloads if you ask, and it will get revealed.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm a prayer in motion when I do it. I haven't been great lately, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better. But I do feel far more connected to God when I'm in nature.
Me too.
And then the walking, the motion, there's something about it. It's like it unlocks a next level something.
Yes, that's for me
And
too.
yeah, I love that. So I'd like to wrap up the podcast with a question of dream dinner. Dream dinner party, six people that are your guests, not your relatives, living or dead. Who are they and what are you eating?
Oh, what are we eating? Let's start with that. I mean, my favorite thing in the world is a wonderful glass of wine and like an entire charcuterie board that's just like to die for. So if I could have
Mhm.
like amazing bread, gorgeous cheeses, and some wine, that's what we're eating if I get
Okay.
to choose. Gosh, who's there? I mean, I will tell you, I had the opportunity to work with Bob Proctor and I got to meet him once.
Mm.
I would love to have Bob Proctor sitting at the table with me. I would love to have Florence Scovel Shinn. I don't know if you know who you would love
No.
her if you don't know her. My book is dedicated to her.
Okay.
She wrote the book The Game of Life, and she's, it's God-based, it's beautiful. And she wrote it in 1925, self-published at the age of 52
Shut up.
in 1925.
Awesome.
Yep. So she'd be there.
Mhm.
Genevieve Behrend would also be there. She wrote the book Your Invisible Power. And she wrote that book about the same time as Florence Scovel Shinn. I look at them as like the matriarchs that went first
Mhm.
and in a very unpopular time to talk about the things that they were talking about. And so just I would have them there. I would have Eddie Vedder because I am a massive Pearl Jam fan
Okay, fair enough.
for certain. And let's see, who would my other two people be? Mary Magdalene
Okay,
for
got it.
certain.
Yes.
Massive love Mary Magdalene. And it can't be family or anything, right?
Well, I just, everyone wants to include family and relatives are kind of a given. So if you
Yeah.
want to, I'm not gonna,
Well,
who am I to tell you?
it's one I've never met. It's one I never met.
Okay.
So my father's grandmother came from Ireland into Boston, and she started her own business. She opened a bar, like an Irish pub in Boston, and I never got a chance to meet her. And I just feel like you see this little theme and trend, right? Like these women in the early 1900s
Mhm.
that did big things that other women weren't doing. I mean, I kind of was like sharing that through my years of like doing things my own way. Like, I don't
Right.
know, I just feel this attraction. I want to learn from them. If you're doing something so outside the norm of your time, like I just want to learn more about like what they were thinking and what more about them.
Yeah. So exciting. Julie Ciardi, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I have enjoyed this immensely. I cannot wait to dig in deeper to my human design report that I have done with you and to follow more of your work on Substack. I hope this is the last time that we chat, and I feel like it won't be. So
Thank you. So great to be here. I appreciate the work you're doing.
thank you, Julie.
This is Kristie Crenshaw. Thanks for joining me at the Audacity to Age, where becoming never gets old. If you'd like more stories, insights, and encouragement for navigating life after 50 with purpose and possibility, subscribe to my Substack, The Audacity to Age on Substack. And if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, rate, review, and share it with someone you love. Until next time, keep choosing curiosity over complacency and possibility over limitation. How will you be intrepidly daring, marked by originality and verve in life post 50? That's having the audacity to age. I'll see you soon.